lawmakers from Asheville and Bunker.
From the newsroom to the nursery,
we're juggling a demanding career on live TV with the demands of motherhood.
I'm Katie.
And I'm Karen.
They are AnchorMOMS.
Hello, friends. Thank you for joining us for another episode of AnchorMOMS, the podcast, coming to you hot and sleepless and exhausted.
Sleepless in Asheville.
Sleepless in Asheville.
Yeah, we are in the throes of the summer non-schedule where I don't know what's happening.
Like what day it is, what time it is.
Well, I mean, you know, we used to be pretty strict, like littles to bed at 7:30, big kids to bed at 8:15. Last night, for instance, I mean, I think it was 9:45. And our big kids were still up watching the Olympics. And I'm like, what's
happening?
What are we doing?
Yeah.
And it's a school day. I mean, not a school day, a work day, right? Yeah.
Same.
It just gets, and then, you know, of course, as parents, we're, especially on the weekends, so much more likely to be like, oh, it's summer, stay up late, catch fireflies.
Dance it by moonlight.
Yes. And then sleep till noon tomorrow. But of course they don't. And I'm also realizing that I know for you it's different because you have to wake up so early. But even on the weekends for us, we're like, oh, wait, now like the kids have just gone to bed and we're just going to go to bed because it's late. Like we have zero downtime to, I don't know, relax, discuss important things, do the dishes, like all those things we do normally after the kids go to bed. Yeah, it's crazy.
No, I know. It's we're living parallel lives because I mentioned on a previous podcast that Brian was out of town a couple of weekends ago, and River and I, you know, she slept in my bed. We had like a whole girls' weekend, and I realized at some point that I was like, it's like 10 o'clock, and I'm falling asleep, and I look over at my 6-year-old, and I'm like, okay, we're gonna turn this off and like go to bed. And it's problematic for me because I get up at 2 a.m. The weekends, whatever, it's fine. Right. I mean, it's fine-ish.
Yeah.
But yeah, I go to bed at, I got to get up at 2 a.m. And so I've been like, I got to go to bed.
Yeah.
And poor Brian is like, what? Like, he's like doing bath and books and like all the like wind down stuff. And he's like, I don't have like stuff that I would normally do after you two go to bed, which like sometimes he'll like finish up some work stuff. Like he'll take the dog for a walk. I'm sure he just wants to like unwind himself. He's like, that's not happening. And I, like this morning, I was like, what time did River go to bed last night? He's like, I mean, like 10. I was like, River goes back to school here, I don't know, by the time this drops.
Couple weeks.
Yeah, like 2 weeks. And I said to him this morning, hey, we have to get back on a schedule. I mean, River is used to go to bed at like 7 o'clock.
Right.
It was like pushing like 7:30, 8 o'clock. Towards the end of last school year. I mean, she was in kindergarten. Now she's going to be in first grade. I'm like, we got to get, and he's like, I think it's just is going to just take, like, she's just going to have like a couple of tired days at school. Because River has to be at school at like 7:30, 7:45 before because I mean, she's like getting up at like 8 o'clock.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Well, unfortunately, our children are not sleeping in. Well, the big kids are. The littles will not. Bennett last night, I mean, I think it was after 9, which is so late for her. And she literally, as I'm talking to her, and she goes, the days are just so short. I was like, oh, girl, not for me. No, that's not an accurate statement for the parents.
I do know what you're saying. I mean, Brian and I don't really have a lot of time together during the week anyway, but even on like the weekends, or just even like River would like go to, in times of old, she would go to bed, and then as I was like getting ready to go to bed, Brian and I would have like a quick like powwow for like 20 minutes.
Sure.
Like, okay, like it's funny, like we're trying to plan a couple of fall vacations and getaways. He has like a high school reunion, and it's like kind of all fall. And I'm like, we got to like
sit down.
We have to sit down and talk about like our calendar and like what we're going to do here in September and October. And I was like, we'll just like at some point in the next week or so, when we have 20 minutes without all this, like without our 6-year-old, like trying to talk to us too, it's like problematic. And, you know, we're not to that age, and I'm happy of this. at some point, River, in theory, is going to be like, put herself to bed, right? Like, she's going to she's going to be a teenager. She's going to be a tween. And she's like, all right, good night. But I'm like, we're years away from this.
I mean, Ellery just turned 9 and she still is like, come tuck me in every night.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's funny. We talked in a previous episode, we talked about studies that showed just how many parents were still having issues with their children sleeping all through the night, even at older ages. Of course, you think about the infant stage, but past that. And so we posted about it on our social, and somebody said, we'll just make them work harder. Like, I grew up on a farm, and I would get up at the crack of dawn and do all these chores, physical things all day, and then go right to sleep at 6:30 p.m. I mean, I love the idea, but we don't live on a farm, and I have no intentions of moving to a farm. So I don't know. So that your children but to that person's point, it is an interesting conundrum, because I often think, well, during the days, especially in the summer, okay, let's go for a walk and get their energy out. Is it that they're not moving their bodies enough during the day, that they're not more tired at night? But I feel like that's such a double-edged sword, because then sometimes we'll go for a evening walk in the neighborhood after dinner, and then they're almost more amped up. So it's like, what?
Yeah, and I mean, I'm just speaking from experience. Yesterday, we had a full day. River spent 4 or 5 hours at the pool. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It doesn't seem to correlate.
Agreed.
It just there doesn't seem to be a correlation there. I don't know. I mean, I'm hopeful once we sort of get back into the school routine, but in a week or so, I said to Brian this morning, we're going to have to start dialing it back, waking her up earlier. And so that in theory, she goes to bed
It's just a not fun in between process too. When you have to start waking them up early, like you said, there's going to be some grumpy mornings with some tired kiddos until we get back to the 7:30 bedtime, 6:30 wake up routine.
It's just funny because I used to be such a crazy stickler about bedtimes and schedules. And I don't know and I even sometimes take pleasure on the weekends and just not having River go to bed, because it's such a rigmarole. There's such okay, we got to do this and this and this. And I do think it's going to come and bite me in the butt here very soon. So I don't know. And then there's a part of me that's summer forever, just enjoy it while it's here, because pretty soon there'll be soccer practice and musical practice.
I do
and gymnastics
really enjoy the lack of commitments in the summer. That's nice. What do you want to do today, guys? What do you want to do this afternoon? Go to the pool? Go for a hike? Stay inside and do puzzles? What? What are we going to do today?
I know.
That part is fun because there is just nothing on the agenda.
I know.
No homework.
I don't. So I just don't think you can't live in both worlds. Does that, you know what I mean? It's you're either.
So just let them stay up.
Just let them stay up. Yeah.
Until school starts.
Maybe
the week before school starts.
Right. That's my plan. Even though even right now I'm that's not going to happen because I'm going to be school starts next week. Let's just
our last
enjoy,
week of staying
let's
up
just
late.
Enjoy this. Yeah. So talking to you, future Katie and Karen, your lives are going to be miserable, but hope it's worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Hope it's worth it.
This first article is from Motherly. The rise of Sephora kids is affecting summer camps and highlights a bigger problem. This is kind of surprising, but also not. Also, I did not realize we were calling these next generation of tweens and teens Gen Alpha, but apparently that's their term. I don't think I'd realize that. But anyway, here we are.
I already get confused, Gen Z, Gen X,
what's
millennial.
The order? Yeah.
Gen
anyway,
Alpha. Okay.
the teenagers these days are Gen Alpha, and these campers apparently, when they went to summer camp, were bringing their whole haul of Sephora beauty, skincare, makeup lines with them to camp, and this I love this. The summer camps this year were finally no. They sent out letters, a lot of them, to parents saying this is not allowed. We're banning the Sephora products. If you're coming to summer camp, you can bring sunscreen and bug spray. That's it. I love this. This is as it should be, right? But it talks about that and kind of that development, but also it goes into, and we've talked about this a little bit on the podcast before, 6 to 12-year-olds are spending 27% more on skincare products these days. Children and teens are spending $14.7 million at Sephora, $8 million at Ulta.
$1 million.
I mean, I'm just going to say this. 6 to 12-year-olds, I mean, I don't know. My 6 and 9-year-old girls have 0 products. That feels very young. I know it's happening earlier and earlier, and I know there's this burst of tweens on the Sephora scene. I guess I didn't realize that it was quite this young.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree with you. I'm going to blame social media for all of this. How do you know about skincare products?
But are 6 to 12-year-olds on social media?
I think for sure 10-year-olds are, and 11-year-olds and 9-year-olds. I don't know about 6-year-olds. I would agree with that. I mean, yeah.
Ella Ray is 9 and she does not know what Instagram is.
I don't know. I don't know that is the case. I'm just thinking that I have some family members. I think kids
that young. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, not 9, but it would not surprise me. I think kids are getting phones and therefore social media earlier and earlier. And
well,
I think yeah.
It talks about, this article goes into kind of off that realization that summer camps are now having to ban skincare products and makeup. That, this concern that it is negatively impacting body image, all of this. And it brings up the question in the end of the article, should parents be banning this as well? Like, maybe we should take a page out of the summer camps book and say, look, these kids are too young. No. Sunscreen and bug spray, moving on.
Yeah. I know that's the discretion of the parents though, right? I mean,
sure.
What are we going to do?
But I think it's just proposing that question of, if we're at a place where summer camps have to say, you can't bring all this stuff to like your cabin for the week.
Yeah.
Should we be having more conversations as a community and a society? And should parents be having more conversations about, should our own daughters be using this in their normal lives if they're being banned at summer camp? And are there going to be these impacts on body image?
I know. I think less about banning the Sephora products and more about, should there be guidance in regards to social media? That's what I think.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
because I truly think that's where this stuff is coming from. And I think that has a bigger impact than some expensive eye cream that your 12-year-old is going to buy.
It also does make me think, and it brings us up in this article, young kids using anti-aging serums when they're
it's wild.
12 and 13 years old. And it gets into a little bit, which I hadn't really thought of, but some of these products can be damaging to kids' skin. And I mean, I don't know. It's mind-boggling to me that children that young would be even thinking about anti-aging. But, the point is that, like, some of these products are made for, 40-year-old women. They're not made for 10-year-old skin.
I know.
In instances they're causing rashes or breakouts or whatever. And it just talks about how these products are not made to be worn from when you're age 8 on.
Right. No, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I would hate to think about my 6-year-old putting retinol on her face.
Right.
It's kind of wild.
So I don't know. It just feels like there's just been something has been lost in this process that needs to be adjusted, in my opinion.
Sure. And it'll be interesting to see. We've been talking about these Sephora kids now for a couple months. It's been a whole trend. And who's paying for that? Like, this is the other thing.
Expensive.
It's like, parents must be forking over the cash for it, or do they not know what their kids are buying and spending the money on? Because this stuff Sephora is not cheap. So it is kind of interesting. I mean,
I mean, I think you're right, but also, I'm trying to think back. What did I buy as a teenager? What did I spend my money on? It wasn't Sephora, but I don't know what I would have bought with my money. My
definitely
meager allowance.
Spent my money on getting my nails done as a teenager and as like a
really?
tween. Yeah.
Oh.
But this was back when, getting your nails done was like nail polish, like not the gel or the acrylics or whatever. And then we would get, like nail art. Like that was like a whole thing.
Oh. Interesting.
But, Sephora, if it existed, I didn't know about it
I think that's been since we've been.
I don't know. I was Ulta. But I grew up so rural.
I know that's what
it's like possible that there was a Sephora out there and I just didn't know about it.
Maybe it was just my friend group, but I mean, we were not. I don't think it was just us. I mean, of course, there was girls who wore more makeup than others and cared more about that than others. But I mean, I definitely do not think there was the same level of massive groups of 6 to 12-year-olds investing in skincare products and makeup lines. I mean, I think almost anyone would agree that when we were growing up, that did not exist.
Well, but there was also no social media. We didn't have phones.
Of course.
So I'm saying I'm
it all comes back to the social media.
Pointing the blame at social media. Yes.
It's your fault.
How else would they know about it? Where else? This is like, this
but
is
I mean, I think about
Instagram and TikTok and Snapchat.
Yes, but I think about, when we were younger, I mean, and we didn't have social media, but there were other trendy things that we spent our money on that, we couldn't see them on social media,
We got them from our from our 17 magazine and our Bop
and just
magazine.
once a bunch of friends at school has something, you're going to want it too, right? It travels the old school way by seeing it in person rather than seeing it on social media.
Yeah.
But there were things that we, gosh, remember those necklaces, the choker necklaces, different trends. And I mean, I don't think it was makeup and beauty products as much. I think it was more maybe jewelry and clothes and nails, perhaps,
Yeah. I know, but that stuff wasn't it's not
damaging to your body.
It's not going to damage your body.
Sure.
It's not, I mean, depending on what sort of clothes, if you were buying out of the Delia's catalog, do you remember Delia's?
I do remember Delia's.
Well, I remember you'd have to call them up and order out of the catalog. You couldn't do it online,
I see this skirt on page 7.
Yeah, Mom, I want this and
corduroy
this.
number.
Yeah. Circle it. Remember the baby doll tees, which I think are back in style.
Everything that we're talking about in Delia's is back now, by the way.
Right. I would give my right, if you're at home and you have an old Delia's catalog laying around, I'd give my right arm just to look at that catalog. No?
Yes. No, I loved it. That and, what else did we shop? Abercrombie and.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was shopping at Abercrombie in college even.
Yeah.
Right? I feel like Abercrombie might be back.
I think they are. They're trying to be.
I can't. The smell of Abercrombie, just thinking about, when you walk in there, that smell.
And the loud music.
No.
Is that your mom's for today? Is it an Abercrombie outfit?
It is not.
Okay.
It is not. But true to form, if you are a teeny bopper, you might want this outfit because
might appeal to you.
It might appeal to you because I'm 41, pretending like I'm 21. Oh, 25. Thank you. This one comes from Free People, and this is a hot shot mini dress. And so it's like a dress, but it has shorts underneath. I just got this. Comes in a bunch of different colors. It's only $60. Now. Yeah. So Free People has this whole line of hot shot stuff, which are kind of these comfy, sporty outfits.
Athleisure, if you will.
Yeah.
Maybe?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I certainly wouldn't wear it to work, but.
And you wouldn't wear it to work out. It's the in-between.
Right. Exactly. $60, comes in a bunch of different colors, super comfortable.
Okay.
Super cute. Okay. I actually like a bunch of their hot shot stuff, but I don't feel like you can't lose with a $60
comfy item.
That's
also trendy. I love it.
Okay. Well,
what's it called again? Hot shot.
The hot shot mini dress.
Mini dress. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So our next article is from Scary Mommy. Sweden is now offering paid leave to grandparents helping with grandkids. So 50 years after becoming the first country in the world to offer paternity leave, Sweden is raising the bar. So I didn't realize how this all breaks down. This is what Sweden is currently doing. Parents in Sweden are guaranteed 480 days. That's about 16 months.
16 months paid time off.
Of paid parental leave. And this is the key here. Parents choose how to distribute the leave. Fathers usually take about 130 days of that leave, which is about 27% of the leave. And then, by the way, this is above and beyond what we're talking about. Swedish parents are also entitled to reduced work hours for a child's first 8 years. 8 years. Wow.
Why don't we move to Sweden?
For a lot of reasons, but I don't disagree. The new law gives parents the option, this is the new part here, to transfer some of their paid leave to any adult they choose. And this opens the door for adults, uncles, godparents, grandparents, anybody you want to, basically. So it's not like it does take away you have to use some of your parental leave to give to somebody.
Right. But you get a chunk of 16 months.
Right.
And okay, dad's going to take 2. Mom's going to take 8.
Right.
The other however many are going to go to grandma.
Right.
This month's going to go to Aunt Sue.
Right.
Whoever.
Right. So it's kind of allowing you to choose how to take care of your kid in those, what did we say, those first 16 months. So if you want to go back to work, but you would like whoever, I suppose, your mom, an aunt, whoever, to then now they can get paid.
Mm-hmm. I think that's the key here. I mean, we are in a country where we don't have any paid off for the actual biological parents. Yet in Sweden,
right, not
only are they have paid time off for the parents, but it's now transferable to any relative who is in a position or in whatever work life situation where they are going to take care of the child. They are also getting paid for 16 months.
Right. So, and that's the key here compared to the U.S., the FMLA, or, the Family Leave and Medical Act, it guarantees 12 weeks of unpaid leave following the birth of a child. But you're not guaranteed any form of paid parental leave. And just as a reminder, because we do bring this up at least every 2 to 3 months here on the podcast, among industrialized nations, the U.S. is the only country failing to offer paid parental leave.
It's unbelievable.
When will this change?
I don't know. It's one of those things that you realize it's a problem, and then you see somebody else, or in this case, a country, Sweden, doing it so much better and making so many forward strides. And then it almost just makes you feel worse about that we're stuck in the same position we're stuck in. Kudos to Sweden for realizing this is important. Yeah. And, they keep doing this, right? They were the first country with paid parental leave 50 years ago.
50 years ago. And I think that's just paternity leave. Paternity leave, which is still kind of a taboo thing here in the U.S. Paternity leave.
But if they keep doing this and extending this more and more, you have to believe that it's working, or else they wouldn't keep expanding it, right? So they know that this is what's good for their communities, for their society. This is what's benefiting working parents. And they keep making it more and more accessible for working parents to come back after they have a baby. Right. And yet it just feels like we're spinning our wheels here.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully Sweden someday, somehow will serve as a model for other countries. U.S. lawmakers, we're looking at you. We'll see.
Our last article comes from Her View from Home. This is interesting. It's called, I Had No Idea This Could Happen. Mom Raises Awareness About Cold Shock on Hot Days. Had you heard of this?
No.
Okay, so this mom talks about it was 4th of July. They took a trip to the beach. Outside it was 80 degrees. Picture a normal beach hot day like all of us do in the summertime. Her kid came out of the water saying he didn't feel well. Very quickly, it took a pretty big turn. He was disoriented. Everything went white. He passed out right there on the beach, started throwing up. Of course, the mom panics, calls her husband over. They call 911. Come to find out he had cold shock from 52-degree water.
Yeah.
which doesn't even seem ridiculously cold. I mean, it's cold, but
it's cold. That's cold water. But I will say this. I think about how when we're in the lake in the spring, when we're at the lake, and, you know, here in the South, like you can have 80-degree days in April, Mother's Day weekend. You know, it can be really nice. And I just think about how River will like always be like, I want to go in. And I'm always like, put your life jacket on and go. You know, I'm always
go
for it. You're going to be, it's freezing, but you can go for it. And now this will make me think twice, you know?
Well, you know, the river close by to Asheville, the Nantahala that we raft often is very cold. It's very cold. And I would be curious what the temperature was in that river. But I mean, yeah, our kids get in that all the time. And it is right when it's sunny and hot outside. I would have never thought. I mean, this, you know, he was becoming hypothermic.
Yeah.
Like that's what was happening with this child. And it's a term called cold shock. And the child ended up being fine, but it can be deadly. And so the mom just kind of sounded the alarm of, hey, this is a thing that can happen. She said that the paramedics who helped on the beach that day said, oh yeah, this happens all the time. We get this a lot. People don't realize this can happen. It's just kind of unbelievable because you just don't think, you know, you're out there sweating and putting on sunscreen. You're not thinking at all about hypothermia.
Well, and you know, you normally think about like heat stroke or getting overheated, like that sort of thing, especially on the 4th of July. These folks are in Massachusetts, remind me. They're up north. Yeah. So, you know, that water up there is cold. I speak from, my husband is from Long Island, so occasionally we'll go to the beach up there. And obviously not even as far north as Massachusetts. It's cold.
Yeah.
Water is cold there in the Atlantic. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Good to know. Good to remember, though, even during those summer months when it's so hot out. So we have a win this week.
Win.
Oh, win. So, and I'm trying to remember if I brought this up on the podcast at all. I know I brought it up to you, Katie, but so Bennett was not hearing well. We found out at a pediatrician's visit, actually failed her hearing test miserably. So she had to have a procedure. She got ear tubes put in and adenoids taken out. And everything was success.
Yeah.
Everything went well and she is hearing better. It was kind of one of those things where, I'll be honest, for a long time, we just thought she wasn't listening. She's 5 and, you know, and also, by the way, our house is very loud anyway. We have 4 children who are running around often speaking at the same time. And so we literally just thought she's just not listening to us. We'd ask her to do things, call out to her, and she just wouldn't pay any attention to us. But come to find out, she couldn't hear. She legitimately couldn't hear. Not only like didn't pass her hearing test, like kind of miserably failed her hearing test. But it was one of those things that at first, you know, you're, oh gosh, this is bad news. But it was one of those things that you meet with the specialist and they say, no, this is something we can fix very easily with ear tubes. This happens all the time. The procedure was very simple, very quick, got him in and seems to be hearing much better. It was funny though, you know, as an adult and as a parent, I think you want that transformative moment where they say, oh my gosh, Mom and Dad, I can hear. Thank you for figuring this out. And we did not have that moment. We kept saying, Bennett, can you hear better? And she's like, yeah,
sure,
I guess,
great.
yeah, everything fine. Yeah, moving on.
Yeah,
can I have some ice cream? You know,
you wanted like the angels to sing and like a ray of light to come down.
Mm-hmm. And of course, now though, unfortunately, now we know she can hear.
And she's still not listening.
But she's perhaps just not listening now. But at least we know that it's getting through and that there is this very easy. I think back in the day, ear tubes were a much bigger deal. You can go in the water for a long time. It was a much bigger situation. And now it's just a very quick and easy outpatient procedure. I mean, she went to camp the next day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, totally fine. Like literally slept it off that afternoon and then it was fine.
Good for her. And I'm glad you guys figured it out and that she was okay. It's always scary when your kid
whenever there's
has
an
some
issue.
sort of procedure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for you, Bennett.
Yeah.
I'm excited
Now you
to-
just have to use those working ears to actually pay attention.
Listening
and
ears. Yeah.
Do what you're told.
Okay. Well, is there a procedure for that? What's the procedure
I don't think
for
that answer is quite as easy, unfortunately.
Okay.
I wish. Anyway, hope everyone has a great week. Thanks so much for listening. Don't forget to rate, subscribe, and review the podcast if you're enjoying it. And we'll see you next time.
Bye, guys. Anchor Moms is a Sinclair podcast produced out of WLOS in Asheville. We're your hosts, Katie Killen and Karen Zakalak. Anchor Moms is edited by Matthew Yates.
For more information on the topics discussed in this episode and to stay up to date on future episodes, follow us on Instagram at AnchorMOMS.
You can follow Anchor Moms on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Know a parent who could benefit from this week's Anchor Moms episode? Your recommendations help our show to grow, so spread the word.